We've What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Respect the Craft. This is episode number 46, and I'm joined by a very special guest. Actually, her first appearance back, technically, in the wrestling scene right here. It is the Silver Queen herself, Ivy Roman. How's it going?
What's up? Everything is going so well. Thank you so much for having me today.
No, definitely. Again, we've known each other for a little bit. It's been a few years now. So definitely,
Mm-hmm.
when I heard you were trying to get back in, and especially with everything going on right now with a few individuals, but we get into that later on. But I definitely had to have you come on because
Oh
again,
yeah, we're
you've been killing it with
definitely
your podcast as well. So we had
we
to
are
have you.
definitely of course we are definitely going to get into that, which is why I'm here today. But to bring that back, I miss wrestling and I miss all things entertainment and I'm ready to kill it. So ladies, be careful because a real queen is coming back.
Ooh, there you go. But again, before we get into the questions, so I do have a few for you here. I have to start with the question I ask everyone. Again, the show is called Respect the Craft. So when you hear that term, the craft, what does that mean for you?
So someone very special, Mr. Proud and Powerful himself, Santana. He taught me a very long time ago that you have to give 80% in your life in order to give the 10% in actually what you want to do. So I held that advice in my core, in my gut, and it became something that I follow within my life. So, you have to make sure that everything you are doing is aligning you in what you want to do, and respecting your craft is first respecting yourself and knowing that your body and who you are, your mentality is a business, and you have to maintain yourself as it is.
Got you. No, definitely. That's some wise words there from, again, someone that is doing his craft at one of the biggest stages right now. So he proved it there. But let's get into that because again, for those that might not have known you, you kind of stepped away for a bit from the wrestling scene. This is why we're saying today this is almost your reintroduction to the wrestling scene. Again, I know you. I can imagine a lot of people that are watching this podcast definitely know you because again, we've been around for a little bit. But for those that aren't familiar, tell us a little bit about that. Again, your upbringing in wrestling and that first introduction for you.
Well, I've always watched wrestling since I was a kid, and with my brothers, doing backyard wrestling and everything that they did. Little sisters like to follow, so I followed along, and there were some things that I was just like, "Oh, you guys are crazy! I'm not doing that." But then later on in my adulthood, I'm right there in the ring with them. So, I'm so thankful for both of them. Actually, for all of them. Let's not forget, I have more than one. I am not only the youngest, but I am the I'm the most hard headed.
Got you. So let's talk a little bit about that. Again, we all have that. That was something that definitely caught our eye. But what was it that got you into the independent circuit? What was it that you were able to find where to get involved somewhat in wrestling?
Well, it's very known on my podcast, Healing with Ivy. My friend dared me. I never thought that I would be in the wrestling world. I didn't think I had it at the time. But when my brother, Superstar Whiplash, trained me in the ring for the very first time, day one, he was the first person that I saw. I was trying to do things very, behind their back and hiding, but, I should have known better. Stupid me, right? So, when he saw me work in the ring, he goes, "Wait, have you been training for a while and not telling me?" And I was just telling him, like, "No, this is legit my first time." And he was like, "Well, we have work to do because there's a lot of potential." And just hearing that coming from my brother himself just gave me a drive that I knew that I had to give it everything. And I've aligned myself with the right people in terms of me being mentored. That's very important. And most importantly, I'm not only willing to put in the work, but working is pretty much all I do.
Got you. And outside of that, because I know again, especially with the group you were around, but where else did you officially were you training at? For again, for those that might not be as familiar.
Yeah, of course. So my first school was Fighting Spirit
Okay.
in 2014, and my home away from home is was FTW until things happened with certain buildings, and then we had to change. And from that point on, my brothers took full responsibility of my training, and I've been right next to them. And then when Santana opened up his training at BWF back in the day, of course, I was there ready to learn, ready to work. And, you know, being a student under my brothers and himself, I have gotten so much better that I'm even shocked when I watch the footage back.
No, definitely. And I think again that was also a reason. That's how I believe that's how I met you guys was because of the building because we all were a part of that Woodward school. Um,
Hmm.
so definitely, but no, and that again that was the introduction there. So from that, how do we get to now you being a part in the ring? What was it that got you finally to make your official debut and get aligned with the goat?
So not with the GOAT particularly, but it was Superstar Whiplash
Yeah.
first. We He had asked me to manage him at I forgot which show it was. I think it wasn't a BWF show. It was a show in Queens. And too many concussions, y'all. I'm sorry. So he was like, "Hey, manage me," and I was just like, "I don't know how to do that. Like, what do you want me to do? Well, who that?" But he was like, "Come on, just try it," and I was just like, okay. Like, what I gotta do? What are we doing?" And then it was just from that night on. It just took off completely. I can't even tell you. My poor car has more miles than the length of time that I've had it. And we got together, the goat four, they gracefully said, "You know what, little sis, we want you in. Like, come on, we got your back." And that's exactly what happened. They had my back. And unfortunately, I had to take some time away. It wasn't going to be permanent, but the pandemic made it more long term than what I hoped.
Got you. No, and let's if you don't mind getting into a little bit, what was it that made you step away? Because again, it was pre-pandemic as well. So, uh, what caused that little bit of redirection for you?
Well, I got married.
Hey, life.
um so I had gotten married, and I
Yeah,
was changing from retail into my career in the medical field that I went to school for. My brothers are very heavy on me having an education no matter what I'm doing, because to always stay on top of it, especially Chris Cage himself. He would sit there 3 o'clock in the morning and watch me do my homework to make sure I got it done. So it was a break. I graduated, and I got the job of my dreams, and I got the man of my dreams, and I just wanted to celebrate for just a little bit. But then getting the job of my dreams winded up saving the communities around me. And it was so hard working in urgent care to see it go from urgent care to an ER. And thank God for my brothers, because if it wasn't for just their support and just being by the phone at any given second, because I might call because I'm on my second 12-hour shift, double of the week. They knew exactly what to do, whether it was Mike sending food to make sure I ate, to Sammy calling me to make sure that I was mentally okay. And then Chris just making sure that I'm getting home okay and I'm finding parking, it being late at night. So I'm really supported and really lucky that they're my brothers.
no, definitely. And I have to say, first off, congratulations on both the personal
Thank
and
you.
again your career as well, because it is a big step to
I kill it
follow your actual
everywhere.
passion. Hey,
I kill it everywhere. Medical field, check. Wrestling, we're not even checking that yet because we are not done. Comedy, I'm a comedian. Check, check, and check, baby.
Yeah, there you go. No, we're definitely going to get into that, but I had to say again, congratulations on that. And also, again, I thank you for your service. Again, it has been a
Thank you.
difficult past 2 years. I can only
Yeah.
imagine again what you've seen because again, we only get to see one side of it because of what the media shows and all that. But being basically in the front line of it all, I definitely thank you for what you've done and had to go through. But
It was definitely a team effort. I had the best team within my urgent care, and without the doctors as well, the doctors I had was amazing, and I did see a lot of stuff, and that podcast is going to come soon with that episode. I'm just not ready to fully let it out.
no, definitely. Again, I can imagine that's a lot. But let's get into that. Again, this is something I definitely want to talk to you about because this is also how we've connected a lot was because of your podcast. I definitely am a fan, so I definitely recommend everyone to go check it out. Let's talk a little bit about this. How did the idea for Healing with Ivy start? Like, what made you want to get into this insane podcast game? Because I'm 46 episodes in, and I'm still like
Yeah,
each day.
it's intense.
Yeah,
It's honestly the pandemic. The pandemic showed me a lot of areas of my own self that I had to change, and
yeah,
where, you know, I had to heal from previous trauma and how to heal from that trauma, and, you know, how to not only move forward but kind of cultivate boundaries, safe boundaries for myself, and ensure that I'm setting them in place with everyone, family, friends, and just sticking to it. That's really what led it on. It was just so. I'm also in the middle of writing a book, and, you know, it's writing that book just takes me into places where I have PTSD. I go right back to where I was in that timeline, and, you know, between my therapist and my publicist and, you know, just my editor, you know, I we came to a thought that I'm gonna keep writing because there's still a lot to tell in that book, in that story. There's so much more I want to share, but for right now, we are gonna give other people the opportunity to relate and not wait, because healing waits for no one. You could decide at any given moment that you want to move forward.
no, definitely. And again, the topics you've touched on your podcast have definitely been, um, it's a bittersweet thing because they're very relatable, but it's also from a lot of experiences of trauma and a lot of experiences of just stuff that again, it real life hits you.
Yeah,
So I definitely,
there's certain family members that don't speak to me anymore, because, you know, I do respectfully, I don't say any names because I'm not trying to call anyone and put them on the spot, but this is my story and this is what I went through, and, you know, I'm allowed to talk about it, and, you know, the fact that they aren't, you know, supportive enough to even take a listen to understand, you know, it's on them, and I still love them, wish them well, but you just keep going. That's what queens do. We don't hold on to the past.
hey, definitely. No, and again, from that for you, I have to ask, what keeps that again? It is something difficult to be able to put out that way. What keeps you to be able to create those kind of podcasts and continue to speak on these? Again, tell your story in a sense, because I can imagine
Well,
it's not the easiest to
it's
do
not.
either.
It's not. Well, I've always been a writer at heart. I've always written poetry. I've always poured my soul between a pen and a paper. So really, you know, I just go based on what's in my heart. And whatever I feel in my heart, it's like, wow, I know I'm not the only person going through this. And I know somebody else is going to benefit from maybe learning from my perspective. I don't want anyone to ever copy me. I want everyone to be their unique individual selves. But I do feel like healing is a process that we all can relate.
Yeah. No, definitely. And again, from that as well, I have to talk about again, you're doing a lot of things. You're basically a jack of all trades here. Because again, not only the wrestling game, the pod.
I'm like the Rock and Kevin Hart without the income. I was just talking about this today. I swear.
So let's talk a little bit about that because again, you dabble a little bit in the comedy game as well. How did that get started for you? Because again, I can imagine you do the promo skills very well, so that kind of the conversation flows. But how did that
Yeah.
get for you for to want to step into the comedy world? Because that's its whole other beast as well.
Oh yeah, comedy is a whole other beast, and it's more scary than what people think it is. It's so nerve-wracking. But I was on Clubhouse. I found this comedy room where, hey, from the Laugh Factory, they're like, hey, if you want to see if you got it, like come into our workshops. And my creative writing juices started flowing, and I started going. And next thing I know, I'm in New York City at the Producers Club, basically setting up the finale for the main event. So I went in hot for sure.
Got you. And with that being said, as well, you also do another podcast that kind of it lets you use that comedy as well in the Cereal Box podcast. So for you, how
Yeah.
did that transition as well? Because again, you're adding more to this already just like filled plate here.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I definitely have more eggs in my basket, but I manage it really well. Thank God
so,
for planners. Well, back of the cereal box is like my favorite because I have met these amazing people from Tennessee. We have Johnny himself, and we have D. Barty. Johnny is the prophet of pop culture, and D is an amazing photographer. And then you just have a line of these beautiful, creative hosts just coming together, just sharing early Saturday morning and just wanting to just feel like a kid and just not have responsibility for an hour. Like all we ask for is an hour. And I love it. We have Serial on the show. We talk about pop culture. We review old cartoons. And sometimes we have we just had an awesome writer, Sarah Jenkins. She has a new book coming out, and she'll be on my podcast coming up later on this year. And I love it. It's always a good time when I'm with my friends at Back of the Cereal Box.
awesome. No, and that definitely I've gotten to check it out as well. I got to see it. It took you all the way to Tennessee, actually. You were able to
Yeah,
travel down.
I
So
just
that
got back. Yeah, I just got back. I just got back. I got my hat. I was Tennessee ready. We added some new accessories to the Queen's gear. And I had such a blast. We were at ICCC, convention, Star Wars convention, and we had the opportunity to have our podcast on a live stage with professional
ooh,
equipment.
okay.
Yeah, it was a beautiful, great. Honestly, that convention was better than New York Comic Con. Put it like that. And it was in a smaller town.
Well then, no, it definitely looked like an interesting time. I saw even you held a kangaroo, so
Yo,
that
it
was
was
different.
so that was so random. So this is like the one part you get an exclusive. So this was the one part where I'm recording, I'm live on Instagram, and I'm just walking down, the area, and I
Yeah,
just see this lady with a kangaroo, and I'm just like, what did I walk into here? Like, what? So
yeah.
I was just like, I want to take a picture with the kangaroo because my brother Mike will never believe me that I held the kangaroo. And he needs photo evidence. That's what he needs, concrete evidence. So I was like, I need to. He was like probably one of the first people I sent the photo to, and he was like, "Is that a kangaroo?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Where in the world are you?" I said, "I'm in Nashville." He goes, "What?" He was like, "You were just home last night." I was like, "I know, last minute flight."
No, yeah, I remember I was watching the live and I'm like, wait, why is there a kangaroo in the middle of this? Like just a
Yeah.
convention, just a kangaroo there. I'm like,
So
oh,
they were raising money. They were raising money for the animals at the zoo.
okay, okay.
In order, with everything that has gone through the pandemic, museums and animal shelters and even like the Bronx Zoo itself, they are struggling. So they were trying to raise money and raise awareness for these animals. The kangaroo almost punched me in my face. That's the video I have. Yeah, I almost got kicked in the face by a baby kangaroo.
This shows you didn't watch Kangaroo Jack again. They
I
kick.
didn't. I didn't. I didn't. I didn't. I fell asleep. I fell asleep.
But there we go. We got Superstar Whiplash in the chat as well. He says you're killing it. So there you
I
go.
love you.
But let's get into that. So again, your play's already full as is. You have again your great career that you're doing in the medical field. You've been killing it with your podcast as well with Healing with Ivy and with the comedy route and also with the podcast with the Cereal Box. So, what brings you to want to come back into this wild world of wrestling? Because
It's
again,
my it's my
we know
passion.
how. Oh, okay,
It's my passion. It's always going to be my number one. Everything else is an extension from wrestling.
okay,
Period.
okay. I have to ask because again, it's like with everything that you have, and we again know how much this takes over a lot of it. So I can only imagine again you wanting to again plan everything out, and then it's like, let's add the chainsaw into it. Let's add wrestling back in. So
My goal for 2023 is to be wrestling on the weekend of WrestleMania in LA and also doing comedy shows, and I will do it.
well then.
It will definitely happen. I am organized enough that trust me, I will figure it out.
Right, and that's again that's the biggest weekend to do it, and especially when you're in a town like LA. Again, that's also especially for comedy. That's the perfect place to want to do it too. So
Yeah. Yeah, and
definitely,
I had a great conversation with Dane Cook himself, and he gave me great advice on how I can bring the Silver Queen alive and bring that comedy aspect to her.
yeah.
And just like Santana said, listen, pay attention, take notes. That's exactly what I did in that moment. And my debut in comedy proves it. Everyone thinks that I've been doing comedy for a year. That's the gimmick in comedy. But I tell them the truth. Oh no, I just thought it yesterday, boo. I've been funny all my life. Okay? My
Hey, and
whole
again,
life.
I think that's also it comes with the wrestler. It comes with again when you are able to have a character and are able to again be vocal and be able to cut the promo the right way. You bring again that comedy element. We all
Hmm.
are taught to be able to again. You have to keep the crowd entertained. If not, if the
Hmm.
crowd is just like you're already not doing your job. So I can imagine again that kind of it makes it a little easier. Not to say again that is an easy task at all, but just it definitely helps a little bit having the promo background and everything like that with wrestling.
Well, I also have an acting background. I've been acting since I was 15 years old.
Oh, okay,
I did off Broadway at City at Peace in New York
okay.
City, and I created along with a team our own script, our own play, our own storyline, music, everything. So there is absolutely nothing that I cannot do.
I was gonna say I think there's a shorter list of stuff you haven't done than what.
I would never jump out of a plane. That is it better be to save my life. That's about it. I'm not doing that. I am not paying somebody out of free will to jump out of a plane. Like, no, thank you. No, thank you.
You say this now, 2023. We see the Dare just put out, "Hey Ivy, just jump out of a plane. It's gonna be fun."
Listen, if Will Smith is trying to redeem himself after what he did to Chris Rock, baby, I will take the form of payment and do it. But Will Smith will have to be paying for my sessions and pay me to land safely on the ground. And I will get insurance in case something happens too, because my husband needs to be taken care of financially.
Right there you go. But let's also
If I'm gone, everybody's getting paid.
there we go. Whiplash is in for that. There you go. Says let's go. I don't know if he's
Oh,
more worried
baby.
about you jumping or is it the money that he's talking about?
A little bit of
Uh,
both.
hey, probably. But let's get into that again because I can also imagine there's one more reason as well that kind of it pushed you a little more to get back in.
Oh,
So
yes.
so we have to talk about it here because again we've talked the good, but now let's get into the elephant in the room here. June 11th, Project Codename Wrestling returns with their third ever show, and we will be having the first ever collision. It's going to be the Zoltan going head to head. Well, first ever collision at an actual event. Because this is something
Yeah.
AJ OTP himself tried to correct me on yesterday, saying it's happened in training, it's happened on all that, and we get that. But this is the first time on a common ground we're going to be seeing this, as it will be absolute Chris Cage taking on Superstar Whiplash. And now I have to ask you, because when I had Superstar Whiplash on the podcast, you sent me a little video. We
Mhm.
spoke. We I showed Whiplash the video, and it kind of showed it started swaying toward one side of it. So tell us your opinion on all this, and also again your input when it comes to this, because you're again you showed your love for all members here, but you kind of have that little more of a side for Whiplash. So tell us into that.
Well, it's no lie that Whiplash is my favorite sibling. I mean, they all know that. But in the case of the match, that has nothing to do with it. I've been watching, my brother for a very long time, and I see all the amazing content that he's been creating. I see all the comments. I see everything that my brother has been doing. And, when TJ DMs you and asks you to work for him and you turn him down out of respect of your brothers, and then you have your brother working with him, that put a very sour taste in my mouth. So then it had me thinking, you know I've been teasing for a while that I'm coming back. Maybe this is a way that my brother is pushing me. He's using sibling rivalry to push me, because sometimes our older siblings know best. But then I started seeing more. I started seeing the disrespect, the way he's being disrespected, how he's not being treated right. But then he's standing by these people like if they have the same DNA. So that put a very sour taste in my mouth. And then the fact that I reached out to my brother and got no response, and then saw this match was happening, and then talked to Whiplash, and I was like, "You didn't know that I'm ready to come back? That wasn't a conversation you two had? I thought we were gonna start talking about training schedules like we used to in the past." And that wasn't the case. So there was a lot of facetious activity. I didn't like it. I had to say what I had to say. And the fact that my brother called me during a promo by my childhood name goes to show that he does not respect the woman that I have grown and become to be. And if he thinks I'm afraid of being in the line of fire, I'll see you June 11th, brother. I'll even pay my own ticket.
Well, then, and again, this is something I brought up as well to the Brothers yesterday in OTP, because again, we kind of saw that. We started seeing a little bit of, again, Chris Cage almost giving you guys a warning here to not get involved, which I don't know if that comes from wanting this to officially just be a one-on-one contest, or is he worried about involvement to mess with his plans? Because again, I can imagine La Kimura is going to have their hands in it. Because again,
Yeah.
he's created his own family. But I have to ask you again. You even said it here. You want this relationship to kind of be amended, but will it ever be the same? Will we ever get something like this to come back together? And again, something like this. Again,
Oh
you
my
guys
God.
were one of the toughest units out there. I brought it to Raise yesterday. Again, this is how I knew you guys for years, taking over the independent scene. But is it ever that fixable again when something like
Oh,
this has occurred?
listen, after a year of healing, you can't heal and not forgive. So I will definitely always have unconditional love from my brother. Would it be hard in the beginning? I'm not saying it's not. It will have its challenges, but I'm even willing to, hey bro, I know you're watching. Come have a drink at our spot. Let's talk. Let me show you the messages without it being on social media. Let's talk like adults and go from there. I don't want to be in your match. This is about ya. But I don't like certain things that's going on, so I'm gonna make my presence known.
Well, then again, I even said this, and I've told Chris Cage himself. I don't know if again it's something that he's seeking, because again, I've seen a little bit of a change, and again, this is from me again knowing you guys for the few years and seeing how again maybe La Kimura is what he was trying to invest in to possibly maybe bring all of you into. I'm not sure. Because again, even at the last
The
show, he
goat,
tried to.
the goat will always be the goat. The goat
'Cause-
does not follow anyone or anything. We set the tone, we set the bar, period. And he knows this. So if he's going with the mentality that that's what he's trying to do, he must have hit his head way too many times.
Well then, and there you go. Whiplash saying he chose to be a part of his new family, and that's what I'm bringing up because again, I was on commentary for that. I saw him offer again that spot to Whiplash.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you again, unbiased to the situation here. What would
Yeah,
you
no,
have done in that situation?
you're like the Dr. Phil of everything. You're
Because
like the
I'm trying to be
you're like the
neutral. Because
Maury.
again,
Yeah.
I still work for Project Codename Wrestling. I don't want to get a hit from Public Enemy number one, but also I'm neutral to you guys because again, like I said, I have my history of you guys. I've known you guys for years, so I'm trying to be neutral here, and I ask you the question of what would you have done in that situation? Again, nothing would have gone down, nothing previously yet. If Chris Cage would have offered you that spot and not Kimura, what would you
Oh,
have done?
I would have laughed and walked away and grabbed a glass of prosecco. Like that's a joke.
Okay.
I have made it clear that my departure from my family was for myself. And
Okay.
if a lot of people didn't see it that way, then allow me to reintroduce myself. I am the Silver Queen Ivy Roman, one of the greatest of all time. This is just the beginning. This is not the end. And you know, Cage tried to cancel the fight. He did what he had to do. He called some people up like, hey, uh, too many people, no more, that's it. And they said, no, my friend, the match is booked, you have to play, let's go, you have to fight. And now what? June 11th is still happening, so
Again, because
I,
maybe that's coming from again. He doesn't want to fight his brother. He knows. I would assume again that love is still there. I'll be
of
asking him this Monday
course.
because Monday I will be having Chris Cage on once again. We'll be having a part two conversation, so I will try to get to the bottom of that. Because again, I can imagine that brotherly love is still there. Again, that love for this. Again, you guys were together for so many years, even previous to that run on the independent circuit. So I can imagine it's hard for him to want to do this. But also, I can imagine it hurt him to have Whiplash turn his back on and not want to join something that he's helped create in a sense. So can you
Family,
understand from his side
family,
though?
family is always going to be family, and
Yeah.
we all understand that we can't always do all our business together. We will support each other no matter what. You want to go do that, go ahead. Hey, I went to Nashville, came back, you safe, you good, you had a great time, you okay, great. That's what we're here for. But to be a part of a group that looks like they watch Goodfellas maybe one or too many times, they, you know, I said what I said.
But then I must
Now
ask
they
then,
have a story
okay.
to tell.
Again, I have to stay neutral here. But saying that, where is that support for Chris? Because I could assume again he's trying to better his state, and I can imagine that's his ideology is when I'm on the top, I can bring this to the top. I would assume. Again, I don't know Chris Cage's mindset as well. I'm not sure if that's the case or not, but I would assume. So that being said, where is that support? Because I can see even Whiplash said it when I had him on last week. It was an instant he didn't like what he was seeing. It was an
I just
instant just
yeah, I just
so
it's
so
that's
where's the
not my
support though?
that's not my brother. Like the
Okay.
whoever he's pretending to be, that's not who he really is. He's capable of so much more, and he's a leader. He's not a follower. So, you know, for tell the younger sister and teach them how to be a strong independent woman and not rely on anyone. You know, I just find it very hypocritical that you're running around with wannabe good fellas.
Got you again. I guess we'll have to
But
June
but
11th will tell all. Yeah.
but I still love him, and Like I said, we'll have a conversation in private.
Hey, again, like I told Whiplash, and again, I'll be telling Chris as well. I hope after June 11th, again, things can come back together. Things can be amended. And again, no matter what the result is, if it is Chris Cage winning and Nakamura continuing on, if it is the Zoltan being able to reunite, whatever it be, I hope at the end of it, you guys are able to find common ground again. But again, that's me being neutral.
Well,
So
yeah, yeah, in the audience, and the fans, and the stands, and all that, you guys don't have to have Thanksgiving with each other. So that's going to be more interesting than anything because that's when everything comes out in every family, right? So you guys are worried about after June 11th. I'm worried about how many pendings I gotta cook and how many houses I gotta bounce back and forth to. So that's my biggest concern because gas ain't cheap right now, y'all. It's $10 to fill up a gallon. $10. Someone's gonna say no, it's 5. It might as well be 10 because I got a Jeep.
I get that. Again, I'm just saying it again from the Project Codename Wrestling interviewer side. Because again, I know that night post match, I'm gonna have to interview both. And I'm hoping, again, that it is a more common ground both. I'm hoping again by the end of the night I'm able to interview both at the same time. This is my hope. But again, I'm staying neutral. I'm not picking a winner here. I definitely won't be telling either that they have my full pick because again, I want to see what goes down on June 11th. What I will say,
Listen, I'll break it. I'll break this down like this. I'll break
yeah,
it down in a sense that Superstar Whiplash is the best lucha wrestler in the ring that I have ever seen. And that's not only because that's my brother. Listen, and this is from an independent scene. I know y'all marks out there in the real AEW, WWE. Relax, sit down. We're not talking about y'all right now. But he's one of a kind. He's amazing. But when it comes to technicality and psychology, that's Chris. I'm blessed that I have a yin and yang of both, you know. But I'm really. It's gonna be hard because I'm not gonna. If Cage does something cool, I'm gonna want to cheer. Whiplash does something cool, I'm gonna want to cheer. I'm gonna be the most confused person in that building. I'll just let you know. But if anyone, and I mean anyone, touches Whiplash that is not Chris Cage, then guess what? I'm hopping over and I'm knocking somebody out. And I know my other brothers will be right behind me.
well then again, hopefully it doesn't get to that situation.
We
Again,
have
I'm
had
hoping.
we've had too many of those occurrences. I'm hoping
Yeah.
so too. I have lost
Again,
too many
I
good sunglasses based on those type of fights.
hey again, hopefully it doesn't get to that situation. Again, I'll be behind the commentary booth calling it down the middle. Like I said, I stay neutral in this situation. But again, we'll see what happens on June 11th. But let's keep it going here. Let's talk a little more about you before we let you go here. And let's talk about that. Again, I know June 11th, we'll see you there if it's again, even if it's buying a ticket and just enjoying the show, enjoying the spectacle that will be Project Codename Wrestling. But outside of that, when do we plan on seeing you possibly getting again in the squared circle yourself? If that's in the immediate future.
Right now, I really want to manage. So I want to get back and managing, and I'm already training. No one knows, but now the jig is up. Everybody knows now, right? So that's gonna be to determined, and I have my goals for a very specific time, and I'm keeping that timeline and mindset, and I'm not playing any games, and I'm not wasting my time in places where I'm not really gonna go anywhere either. So for ladies that need a female manager, call me up because I'm taking bookings.
Ooh, wait. So that's something I have to bring up as well. So is this also the opportunity of us seeing the Silver Queen manage someone else outside of the brothers and outside of the GOAT.
Yeah, I've been trying to get one particular female wrestler to come back, but she's content, and I don't think she's coming back. So, we're not gonna say her name right now, but you know
Yeah,
who I'm
I think
talking
I know.
about.
Yeah. Well, again, she
So,
has someone. A Machine Gun Money is doing his thing. We'll just say that.
yeah.
we'll,
Yeah, he
we'll leave it
doesn't
at that.
he doesn't need me managing him. He's good on his own. I'm out here to help the women in this business that are serious about this business and really need the guidance and support, and I'm ready to pour my knowledge and give you that level of support, and let's get working. But I'm only going to be working with serious women. So if you get denied, is I don't see you as a serious woman. So you got to prove that you're serious.
Got you. Now, definitely, I can't wait to see that. So let's get into this now. Again, the comedy field, the podcast game, now back into wrestling. What has been again for you? What allows you to manage all this? What keeps you wanting to do all this as well? Because again, it's hard enough to follow one task and be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and that's it. Also, including again your shoot in the medical field. So doing all this, what is it that's keeping you being like, you know what? No, I have to do all this. This is what I want to do. This is my plate.
Well, I changed jobs. So right now I'm not working in a facility. My biggest thing, the whole reason why I didn't come back once wrestling was back out here in New York is because I actually was still in the hospital, and I actually care about the people in the locker room, not the ones that don't wash their gear, but the ones that actually do and are decent human beings. But with that said, I had to make sure that my 80% was straightened out and consistent in order for me to give everything else and more. So, I'm my schedule is not an issue. It's where I will be is an issue because I don't have that date or time besides June 11th.
Got you. No, again, I have to ask because again, it's a lot that you are killing it at as well. I commend you on that, but it's also again there is so many hours in a day, So
Yeah. I know there is, but I have some other things going on the sidelines that if that takes off, that will give me the opportunity to make my own schedule all the time, and then I will be living like The Rock and Kevin Hart eventually.
hey, there you go. That's always great to hear. So again, before I let you go as well, I have to ask the question I ask everyone that comes on. So again, you have a lot of avenues to go, but be it for Ivy Roman, the Silver Queen herself, what's the end goal?
I want to take my parents out of the ghetto, and I just want to have a peaceful, creative life. I want to keep creating, I want to keep working, and I want to be there, support women that feel stuck. But that's why healing, if I don't make a cent out of healing with Ivy, I don't care because I do it for people that might need it. But everything else, I know my value if they're willing to pay the ticket.
Hey, there you go. Once again, guys, don't forget to go support that as well. Links are going to be in the description down below. But here we go, right here. Go follow her on Instagram right there, Healing with Ivy. Go follow her on Twitter at Silver Queen Ivy. And also let them know a little bit more about the podcast before I let you go.
Yeah, so
So,
Healing with Ivy is a self care mental health podcast. I go back and talk about my traumas and, the epiphanies that take place in my life. And I really want to share with people. The best way to listen to the podcast is on Spotify. It's exclusively on Spotify. And listen to Killing the Avatar. Like, how many different roles are you playing in your life to keep up with everybody, but you still feel empty? Is it a them thing or something you have to check in with you? And that's what I talk about. Checking ourselves before we try to check anyone else.
got you. What was the latest episode you did? What was the topic on that one?
The latest one is Lost and Found. So that feeling when you completely are in, like, life is going through you and you're in a fog of everything, and you realize that you have lost who you are as an individual, as a man or woman, whatever the case, and you really are trying to find who you are again and the steps that I had to go through in terms of getting to that point.
Gotcha. Perfect. Again, guys, definitely go support. I definitely always give it a listen because I definitely enjoy hearing again a another perspective on a lot of these topics because it is something that again is very relatable and it's something a lot of us have gone through as well. So definitely go check it out and give her support. As always, thank you so much, Ivy, for coming
Yeah,
on. This has been great. Again, hopefully when I see you June 11th, it is in a peaceful manner. Hopefully everything goes
hopefully.
great. But again, whatever goes down, goes down. But I'll definitely be seeing you there. Once again, guys, go support right here. Follow on Instagram right there. Follow on Twitter right there. And as always, don't forget to be wise, be genuine, be real, be better people. As always, respect the craft. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.